I know Sven is nervous as well because we don't have slides, as you see. We won't have slides. It's going to be a live demo. That live demo going to involve connection to the internet, showing stuff on devices, publishing to devices. So it's like lots and lots of technologies, Wi-Fi, internet, so everything can break, so that's why we're nervous. Yeah. But we still trust that everything gonna be okay. It works on my machine and on his machine. So normally. Good. So we kind of have a demo for like 40, 50 minutes, and then we'll have questions from the audience. So let's introduce ourselves. So.
Yeah, I'm Sven. I'm one of the engine developers on Defold, the core engine.
Yeah. And I'm Oleg. I also work for King. And you know what we're going to show today. So what you see on the screen is called a Defold game engine. And I guess, so we're going to show you 3 features that we believe are unique, and you won't find those features anywhere else. But let's set some context of what it is. So let's start maybe from the dashboard, since that's where the project starts. Yes. So in Defold engine, Git client is built. So you start from the dashboard. That's where you open the project. You can see the commits. You can add, remove team members. So like in order to add somebody, you just like click here at the email, and then person opens a default editor and is able to open the project. So when you open the project, and by the way, like look on the commits activity, this is how you watch that your artists don't push, huge textures or something. So, but let's switch to the editor actually. So, changed files window, it's a bit downstairs. So that's where the change files appear. There's a small window into the GitHub client, right? So to the left, assets. That's the assets that you use to build your game. Then let's open some scene, for example.
Let's open level 1.
Yeah. We call that collections, but that's scenes. So, I mean, that's a full-fledged game engine editor. Game engine editor, how cool is that? Editor, where you can assemble scenes. I mean, just the way you got used to. We have game objects. We have, prefabs and all the other small elements like, particles, like everything you're used to assemble your game. So, the key thing here is that we wanted to show that, it's not a framework, it's a full-fledged game engine. It has proper editor, and the editor is closure-based.
Yes.
We maintain open development, as in there is a GitHub, and you can see all the issues, all the feature requests. So this is not King internal stuff. Like that's anybody of you can open this Git page, figure out features and ask for something. And actually, King users also use that, as you can see.
You can report problems or features directly from the menu here as well. So like report issue.
Yep. And so the engine is used within King. It's used beyond King. So some of the biggest games, it's almost shipped. Game made in Minsk, right?
This one, right?
Yeah, this one. It's a nice big game. We'll love it. So good. Good. Now, the last thing we want to say before we show how it works is that the philosophy of Defold is that the engine itself is super thin, bare bones, as in the core engine has the least number of features possible, and then you add features as you build your game. So you can build very, very small games, as in less than 1 megabyte. You can build large games, as you've seen. So when, say, Sven writes a feature, sometimes he pushes that feature not to the core game engine, but to the asset portal.
Yes.
So, see, like cameras and other stuff. So like, Dirty Larry, Sven pushed Dirty Larry. And so, good. So Engine is small but customizable. It has asset store, asset portal, and that's how you add features. But let's build something.
What do you want to build? Should I real
HTML5. Let's build HTML5 because HTML5 is cool. So it's just a matter of clicking a button, as usually, right?
Yeah,
so
all the platforms we build to are just through the project menu, build or bundle to a specific platform. You don't need to set up any build environment or anything like that. The editor handles everything like that.
Yeah, no SDKs.
No.
For scripting, we use Lua. So HTML5 target that you're building, we're using Lua Egypt and scripting for that.
Yes.
And the cool part about our version of HTML5 that it works fast, it works nice, but say one of the games that we built at King called Blossom Blast Saga, it was built 3 years ago, and we published it to Facebook without any fallbacks to Flash. So imagine the world 3 years ago, we already used HTML5 with this thing without any Flash. So it's kind of cool. Can you show it again? Since HTML5, I mean, like the cool thing about HTML5 is that, which is, I think, is kind of unique to what we do, is the profiler. How do you profile your game in the browser? Well, you don't unless you use Defold. You can actually profile what's happening in your game.
So we have two different profilers. There's a visual profiler, which you're viewing now. And it's a built-in functionality, so you just call toggle profile from the game, and it will toggle on and off.
Yeah, that's cool. You can make.
There's also the web profile, of course.
Oh, there is, but let's show it from something more complex, like drum roll, the device.
Okay.
Let's publish something to, well, not something, but exactly this project. Without any modifications, let's publish it to your iPhone.
To my iPhone.
To your iPhone. How do we do it? Well, we just click the button. Since it's Lua, we don't need to modify the code. It just runs.
Hold on, it's loading.
It's loading. Well, we use Wi-Fi for that.
Hopefully. Come on.
Come on. Does it work? I mean...
It's a live demo, so...
It's a live demo. That's how it happens with a live demo. It should. Please work. Otherwise, you'll have to trust us.
Yeah. Okay, I actually rotated the screen.
Good. So now it works.
Yeah.
It works. Now let's make it even more complex. Let's connect from your laptop to the device and profile the game.
So
what do we do for that?
Do you want to show the web profiler? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, I actually forgot to save the IP, maybe. Should I?
Yeah, you don't have the IP.
Give me one more second.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that Default runtime runs a small web server you can connect to from your browser in order to do different things. Some of the things that we will show you today, one of that is the profiler, actually. So I'm
building for the device now. So this is a capture of maybe 30 frames or something like that, or 20. And you can inspect each of the frames here. So this is a more advanced profiler than the visual profiler you saw before. But it's actually capturing the frames from the device and sending it back through HTTP. Yeah, and the philosophy, since building to device is quite fast, you don't have like loading bars and all that. It's very, very fast, especially if you have fast Wi-Fi. So you develop, like when you develop your mobile game, you don't develop it, on your workstation. You don't click the play button in your editor. You actually develop this on your device, which means you don't have performance problems. Then your designer, your artist, they see the game, within that year that you're developing your game. Your artist, your designer sees the game on this, 3, 4, 5 inches and not on their 21 or 30-inch screens. So the game actually is better.
Right. Can we show something complex again, like debugging?
Yes. So with the latest editor, we also have a debugger built in. So for example, I'm looking at the player script here. Maybe we want to see what's happening in its update function. So we're going to set a breakpoint here, and we are attached to the debugger. And I put a breakpoint here, so I can see, for example, what kind of variables I'm having in the scope. I can step over some functions.
So what's happening? Like, this code runs on the phone that Sven is holding in his hand. Right now, you're debugging the thing right on the phone without much fuss, without any setup. And I mean, if you decide to do it at home, you won't need to do any setup as well. It's like that button that Sven clicked, you can do it at home. It's gonna work exactly the same way, just faster because your home Wi-Fi is faster. Right?
Yeah, you can also evaluate Lua directly on the phone here if I wanted to, like print globals or anything I want.
Imagine the debugging possibilities. Everybody loves debugging, right? Good. But that's not what we wanted to show. We wanted to show something even more unique.
Yes.
We wanted to show something that we call hot reload. Now imagine that you have the game running on your device and then you decide to tweak something. Whatever, the speed of the character, the looks of the character. Like, let's run something so it's easier. Let's build it for the for your desktop.
Yes.
Just like one small note, just notice how we don't do anything. Like, it's the same code, the same camera setup, everything is the same, yet we juggle platforms. Like, oh yeah, let's publish to iPhone, and then it's on iPhone. Oh yeah, let's publish to HTML5, it's on HTML5. And now suddenly we have a desktop build. So this is a native OS 6 build.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna do?
So let's see, maybe I think the player is moving a bit too fast here. So I can go into my onReload function, change the running speed to 100 instead, hit Control R, and it will automatically reload the script in the running instance. So if I run now, it looks like I'm actually walking.
Yeah, eventually you can play this game without losing.
Yeah. Maybe I want to change the look of the player. I want it to be red instead. So let's reload, and it's red.
Right. So again, this is native OS 6 game running on the Sven's Mac. We can talk to the game from the editor and change. We can change scripts.
Yeah.
We can change rendering code.
Yes.
What else can we change?
Shaders, for example. Maybe I want to tweak some shader I'm working on, see that it works on a device or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of unique that you can talk to a running game from the editor and change stuff. It's not on the desktop. You can do this on your phone. And that's cool and unique. And that's very, very hard to do using any other tools. So this is hot reload.
Yes.
And now, so developers hot reload the code, artists hot reload the art, designers hot reload the UI and design. And again, you design your game on this small device, and your game is better. You don't have to optimize it on the last mile. So this is hot reload. Mm-hmm. What are we showing next?
We're going to show something called live updates.
Live updates, but we can switch, right?
Yes.
Now you'll see death-threatening trick is I need 2 hands to operate the machine, but I have only 1 hand. So let's see how it works.
Okay, so as Oleg told you before, the runtime is very small. I mean, you can get a game on HTML5 in like 1 megabyte. But of course, you won't fit a lot of content in 1 megabyte. So what do? We have something called live update. And live update, for example, in my game, maybe I want the first level to be bundled with my game, but level 2 and 3 and all the other levels I want to exclude. And excluding, for example, a level which is a collection, which is essentially a scene, if you're familiar with that, you could just select the level, hit the exclude checkbox, and it won't be bundled with the rest of the game when you bundle it, for example, to HTML5 or iOS. Instead, you can get it so it stored in a zip file, so you can upload it to your own server. You could make it so that it automatically pushes to your Amazon cloud account.
Yeah, so just think about the other game engines you're using and how many code, how hard it is to isolate certain art or certain like assets into bundles and then write very complex, tricky code, how to load that and how to isolate that, how to export that. And here is just a matter of checkboxes. So like this level doesn't go to the build. This level doesn't go to the build. This level, well, it does.
We make it very easy for you to integrate such stuff. So we have a very simple API that you can, in runtime, ask, so can I show this collection, or is there any resources missing? If there are resources missing, I'll get a table of all the resources IDs, so I can download them, give them back to the engine, and the engine will verify that it's the correct resource and it's not corrupt and stuff like that. And when everything is loaded into the engine that is missing, the collection will say, okay, so now I can show. And then you can just continue on next level, for example.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now is that I'm building a new game client native for iOS. And this game client, I'll run it, I'll show it, what it does. So I'm playing level 1. I finished level 1. This is native to iOS, right? Oh, to OS 6. We can do the same trick on mobile, just it's like I don't have enough hands. So we've completed level 1.
So now the game logic will ask the collection, so how many resources are missing? So we're missing 63 resources. And now it's actually downloading from Amazon servers, and everything's loaded. And now I can play my next level.
So again, this is native, like it runs natively on OS 6. And what you've seen is there was a live game, and then it misses content. And then we downloaded the content. And then we run without, any reloads, without the need of closing the game, running it again.
Yes.
It's so hard. What happens next? You've seen I didn't bundle the level 3.
And all this loading, you could, of course, do it while you're actually playing one level. It's up to you and where you put that logic, of course. So we just put it at the end of the level here just to show you what's actually happening.
Yeah. Another thing is that the content, the client, you've seen I've published it right now, but the content we're developing from the cloud, we published it 8 months ago.
Yeah.
With the version of Defold that was actual 8 months ago. And now, well, it's like the backwards compatibility is just amazing. Imagine like how cool it is, how easy it is. I just closed it.
Sorry.
What?
No, sorry.
How easy it is to maintain the game, how easy it is to maintain your live game if you can push the new content.
Did you show the settings for live update?
Yeah, it's like Amazon. That's it. When you're building the application, it shows like, shall we publish the live update content? That's as easy as that. So the feature number 2 that we wanted to show is live updates. It's like the way to extend your game. The way to extend your game, the way to operate your live game. What do we do next? Let's show the third feature. That is also unique, and it's also very, very hard to find elsewhere. Let's open a new project for that. So the thing is that Defold is a very modern software, and Defold is designed to not crash. I mean, when I first heard this statement, I was like, nah, not crash, everything crashes, this is software. So Defold is designed to not crash. Default games are designed to not crash. Why? Well, the engine is C, C++, and the code is in Lua sandbox. If you hire, a junior coder, and the junior coder makes a mistake, and the Lua code crashes, what happens? Well, nothing, because something within the game logic may be broken, but the game wouldn't crash. However, sometimes Lua functionality is not enough, and then you need to extend the engine. So let's extend the engine.
So I've opened another project here, which is a simple shooter game, or space shooter game, I guess. It works like this. But it's very boring.
It is very boring.
So I want to add something more spectacular to my player here. So what better than a camera?
A camera. What do you do when you need something?
So I go to the asset or our community site here and look up what I'm in need of. In this case, I want the camera extension. The camera extension is just a default library, so I can click here and copy the library URL.
Yeah, and you see that library URL, well, you don't, but if you do it like this, you may see that it actually points to a GitHub. So it's just the source code from the GitHub, and it's open. You can look into it. And you copy that URL. What do you do next?
So I go into my game project file. I'm going to add the extension or the library actually as a dependency. So I input the library URL here. Hit save, fetch libraries. Just going to download that code.
Oh, nice, it works.
So it appears as a new folder here in my project with a little jigsaw puzzle icon with all the source code for the native extension. We can actually take a look here. So it's actually C++ code. We provide a very simple C API, so you could hook into the update function of the engine. You could hook up into the init or the finalized steps of the engine workflow. You can also expose new Lua modules or functions if you want that. For example, the camera here will expose a new camera module to Lua that we want to interact with. So next step, I'll go into...
Yeah, and the cool thing is that since that points to that, GitHub, so whenever the author of this library updates it, Sven's project gonna automatically get the updates. So imagine how many dependencies to different libraries you have when you build your games, and how hard it is to juggle, how hard it is to manage all the dependencies. Here is it just works.
So I prepared a little script snippets here just to speed things up. So I go into my init function. I'm going to call the new camera API that the native extension is exposing. I'm going to call start camera. I'm going to ask for the front camera because I'm running it on my desktop here, on my MacBook. I want the highest quality, of course.
Highest quality Sven.
Yeah. This is not important, but I'm going to save some fields here so I can use later on. I'm also going to add a little line to my update function, which runs each frame. So each frame, I'm going to set the texture of my sprite to the camera frame, like the camera image data.
Also, did you notice that Sven didn't write any includes, any require, any, Sven added C++ code, and now he can talk to the C++ code just globally from his Lua scripts.
Yes, so last thing I'm going to do is in my final function, which is called when the game exits or when the game object is destroyed, I want to stop the capture as well, just to clean everything up.
Can we build it?
Let's try.
Let's try. It's fast. There is a tiny, tiny Sven.
See if I can make it bigger.
Shall we make Sven bigger?
Yes. Let's try again.
Bigger Sven.
Yes. I have already.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. So the way it works, the engine sends the C++ code to the server. Then the server, what does the server do?
The server takes the source code, compiles it, and links it against our engine libraries, and sends the resulting binary back to your editor, which is then cached. So next time you try to compile or build the game again, it will use the cached version, unless you change the source code.
Yes. So this essentially means that your C++ code is integrated into our engine runtime and sends back. So you can extend game engine the way you want it, and it's in many cases it's cross-platform, right?
Yeah. So if you're writing, for example, the camera extension here, you might add code for it so it runs on iOS and Android, on desktop, of course, and that's up to the
HTML5.
Sure. I haven't done that, but yeah, should work.
Should work.
Yeah, I mean, the native extensions, they work on all the platforms we support, so that's Mac OS, Windows, Linux, iOS, Android, and HTML5.
Which essentially means if you don't code to native system code, it's cross-platform. Say you decide to write your own physics. Well, that's pure C++. It should work. I mean, like your C++ code, you write it once, and then it works on all the platforms, like within this, like the default supports. So, so you can add features, and that's to the engine, and that was the feature number 3 that we wanted to show. And since, I mean, like, the cool part is that yes, it's very easy to set up. Yes, you don't need to set up all the C++, development environments, compilers, and all that. So all your artists, all your designers, it's just, I mean, it just works for them. And in Moscow on DevGam, Alexey Gulev actually made a very, very nice talk about it. And how cool is that for his setup? That's the talk. We would advise to watch it. It's in the Russian language. Is it good or bad? Nah, that's a decent answer. So right, the feature number 3 that we wanted to show is the concept of a la carte game engine, the game engine runtime that you customize according to your needs for your particular game. But that's not all. So you can add features, but then you can also remove features.
Yes. So there's a quite new feature that we recently added, which is called an app manifest.
Yeah.
Currently, it's quite complex to use, but we provide a couple of example.
Don't scare people.
A couple of examples that you can use where you provide the app manifest to your project, and you can specify. So I want to exclude the physics. I want to exclude the profiler, the Facebook module, maybe, just to get the binary sizes down. And the next logical step in that is we're going to expose like a UI for that.
But can you show the manifest maybe? I know there is a nice post on the forum where our favorite user, you know him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like you just specify which exactly engine features you don't need for each platform, and then you get the engine runtime without these features. So if you can scroll down before and after, so he managed to build a full-fledged game in 880 kilobytes. So that's a solitaire game. 880 kilobytes on HTML5. And guess what? You can build, chat games. You can build Facebook instant games with that. How cool is that? Can you imagine other full-fledged game engine that allows you to do it? I cannot. If you can, tell me. So these kind of the 3.5 features that we wanted to show. Now let's see if anybody in this huge room actually listened to us. So can you remember the feature number 1? Yeah, actually someone did.
Yeah.
Like hot reload.
Ah, nice.
Indeed, hot reload. So the way hot reload is the new feature number 1. Hot reload is the way to talk to a game running on the platform, like on desktop, on mobile, change code, change art, change scripts. So that's feature number one, unique feature number one. Unique feature number two, live update. That's much better than I expected. I actually rehearsed like a whole script that, the whole audience doesn't know. Yeah, live update. So live update is a feature that allows you to extend your game with the content. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but you actually can push the whole scenes, like including scripts, including logic, including art, to the live games. And I believe not many other technologies can do this. And feature number three, that's the last feature that we've shown. There's native extensions, a way to customize the game engine binary according to needs. And the feature number 3.5, that's the stripping. It's like you can do this in other engines. It's just you can do very, very small things, very, very small game engine runtime with Defold using this feature. Oh, and the most popular, the most popular extension for Defold is you need ads. Because you need ads, because you love ads, because you want to earn some monies. Yeah. So again, it's just copy URL, add to a game, and then use unit ads from within Defold. Mm-hmm. Do we want to add anything else? Maybe not. Maybe or maybe yes.
I mean, all the content in your game project, they're stored as raw text files, essentially, like raw text. So pushing or merging a change to your code or to your collections are very easy to solve the merge conflicts.
Yes, and I didn't believe this claim myself. Because but then I went to a global game jam last weekend with a team. So imagine the game jam. You know what game jam is? Like everybody commits just stuff, develops rapidly. So for the game jam, I sat with a game maker user and a generic programmer and myself and showed them Defold. And obviously this is one small scene, few scripts. So we three were committing like mad, working on this tiny game. And I didn't have any merge conflicts. I was it's only later I figured out that people were actually committing stuff. And I didn't get any merge conflicts. So this feature actually works. Not just casually, but actually if you all commit all that stuff all together. So yeah, I mean, you don't believe me. I didn't believe it until I tried. So it somehow works. I don't know why.
Yes?
I don't know. We spoke very hard, made it very, very hard to translators. Sorry. But then we're actually open for questions, and then we have
some swag.
Some swag. We can exchange it. If you question for you, and then you go and pick the swag.
Итак, у кого вопрос? Отлично.
Any language will work.
Okay.
Including Ukrainian.
Cool. But your iOS build was lightning fast. But can you extend on first-time setup for iOS project, or it's non-existent?
Sorry.
First-time iOS build was pretty fast. Can you explain on a setup of iOS project, if it's even required?
So you don't have to do any specific setup to publish for any of the platforms, essentially. If you want to bundle, for example, to iOS, of course, you will need a provisional profile and certificate. But there's no really other setup than that.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you.
Yeah. Same for Android, right? It's all the SDKs are just built in.
Yeah.
Включили свет, чтобы вы проснулись.